Here is what you can learn from the book Do the Work by Steven Pressfield. So to preface, I had already read The War of Art and Turning Pro by Steven Pressfield, and I liked them both a lot, and I'll probably end up rereading them. If you're going to choose between one of those two or this one, Do the Work is a phenomenal choice. That being said, here are 10 lessons from Do the Work to help you guessed it, do the work. Lesson number 1, you've got to fight resistance. Now, what is resistance? It is pretty much anything that inhibits you from doing what it is that you're called to do. Maybe that's a project in the community. Maybe it's writing a book or a movie. Maybe it's making a movie, a documentary. Maybe it's a business idea, starting your own business, something that you want to do at work. Resistance is pretty much anything that is stopping you from doing that. Maybe it's somebody in your life who is saying that that's too risky, or someone who is making an excuse for you. Maybe it's yourself that is making the excuse for you. The goal is to overcome resistance, but resistance isn't going away anytime soon. The thing is, in your life, you're always going to be fighting resistance. It's a constant struggle. There's always going to be a voice in your head or someone else's voice in real life that is just telling you it's not worth it, it's too risky. I know I said that before, but it's really, really hard to overcome. One idea from the book on page 8 is this. Like a magnetized needle floating on a surface of oil, resistance will unfailingly point to true north, meaning that calling or action it most wants to stop us from doing. We can use this. We can use it as a compass. We can navigate by resistance, letting it guide us to that calling or purpose that we must follow before all others. So yeah, use resistance. The thing that is giving you the most resistance is the thing that you should be pursuing the most. Lesson number 2, and I'm going to start with this quote from the book. We can always revise once we've acted, but we can accomplish nothing until we act. Pressfield is pushing this do first, revise later mentality. Call it analysis paralysis, call it too much research, call it whatever you want. A lot of times we spend more time planning than we do doing. That is, doing the actual work that needs to be done. You might be thinking of the logistics of starting a business or a new project in the community. You might be outlining to your heart's content on a book or a movie. But outlines and ideas and research don't equate to actually writing the piece. In this case, research can actually become resistance. We should all read to learn up on whatever sort of subject we're interested in. However, when it comes to reading about your craft, reading about the thing you want to do, Pressfield actually says that you should read 3 books max, and don't highlight, don't note take, don't do anything, just read them, have them in your head, and then go forth with doing the action. I know I took notes in this one, but it was for a good cause. It was for this video. So if you're liking it so far, be sure to leave a like. Lesson number 3, you've heard it before in life, go big or go home. Back when I played baseball, I had a coach say single scores, and that's true. If we got on base, we had a shot. And I still really believe this, but Pressfield really, presses you. How bad do you want this thing? How bad do you want to see that movie to fruition? How bad do you want to see the park all revamped and cleaned up and becoming a beacon for the community? How bad do you want to see your business idea to fruition? Page 21 from the book, Pressfield says, swing for the seats. If you and I want to do great stuff, we can't let ourselves work small. A home run swing that results in a strikeout is better than a successful bunt or even a line drive single. And that's just it. The idea that you have is not going to get done if you're not putting the most effort into it. And keep that how bad do you want it in mind, because this isn't the first time that Pressfield is going to question you on this throughout the book. Stick with me, because I'm going to reveal the 2 test questions that resistance asks of you, the reader, near the end of this video. Okay, lesson number 4. We are talking about outlines. Pressfield has a great method for outlining your work, your project, whatever it may be, and it's something that he learned along the way. I'm going to go to the book for this one, page 22. Lunch with my mentor. Some years ago, I had lunch at Joe Allen's in Manhattan with my mentor, though he would cringe at the word, the writer and documentary maker Norm Stahl. He was making some notes on a pad of yellow legal-sized foolscap paper. He told me something that has saved my bacon more times than I can count. Steve, God made a single sheet of yellow foolscap exactly the right length to hold the outline of an entire novel. And then Pressfield goes on to say, outline it fast, now, on instinct. Discipline yourself to boil down your story, new business, philanthropic enterprise to a single page. Is this easy? Hell no. But Pressfield goes on to break down a 3-act structure that you can use. And often your idea starts with the end. You actually go end, beginning, middle, then you begin to fill in the gaps. The quick outline is a game changer, and it's something that we can all take and use in our daily lives and in our creative endeavors. Number 5, this one hits close to home for a lot of prospective and hopeful writers. Doing the work actually generates ideas and inspiration. Too often we fall into this category, I fall into this category of waiting for inspiration to do something. I'm not feeling inspired, so I can't write today. I'm not feeling inspired, so I can't go through with this thing that I said I was going to do to reach the ultimate goal. The thing is, if you just carve out 1 hour, maybe 30 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, if you just carve out a little bit of time and you say, I'm going to work in this time, you'd be surprised at the amount of ideas that you can come up with. Do not wait for motivation. Do not wait for inspiration. You've got to have that intrinsically in yourself, and just by doing the work, the muse is going to listen. And the whole idea of the muse itself is big in the War of Art. So I do recommend checking out that book. But first, let's get to number 6. Number 6, these are the principles of resistance. And it's important that you know them as you go into battle against resistance. Go into the book, page 59. Principle number 1, there is an enemy. There is an intelligent, active, malign force working against us. Step 1 is to recognize this. Principle number 2, this enemy is implacable. It will kill you. It will kill you like cancer. Its aim is to kill. Resistance is the enemy, and it is going to be ruthless against you. Principle number 3, this enemy is inside you. Resistance is not a peripheral opponent. It does not arise from rivals, bosses, spouses, children, terrorists, lobbyists, or political adversaries. It comes from us. The enemy is inside you. Principle number 4, the enemy is inside you, but it is not you. Remember, you're not resistance. You are not your own enemy. You are not to blame for the voices of resistance you hear in your head. And Pressfield says this, page 62, if you've got a head, you've got a voice of resistance inside it. But then he says, you are blameless. You retain free will and the capacity to act. Principle number 5, the real you must duel the resistance you. You are the knight, resistance is the dragon. Slay that mother. I'm not going to finish that. Principle number 6, resistance arises second. So resistance is only coming as a result of you having an idea, a calling, a passion. So remember that idea came first before the resistance. And the last principle, principle number 7, the opposite of resistance is assistance. Page 66, the dream is your project, your vision, your symphony, your startup. The love is the passion and enthusiasm that fill your heart when you envision your project's completion. Page 67, he writes, the 7th principle of resistance is that we can align ourselves with these universal forces of assistance, this dream, this passion, to make the unmanifest manifest and ride them into battle against the dragon. These are big. You've got to remember them, even as resistance is busting your balls, just trying to stop you from doing what you're ultimately called to do. Number 7, these are the 2 key questions of resistance, asking you, the reader. This is page 68 in the book. Test number 1, how bad do you want it? This is resistance's first question. The scale below will help you answer. Mark the selection that corresponds to how you feel about your book, movie, ballet, new business, whatever. Dabbling, interested, intrigued but uncertain, passionate, totally committed. And if your answer is not this one, on the far right, Pressfield says, put this book down and throw it away. Just getting right to it. Test number 2. Why do you want it? For the babes or the dudes? The money? For fame? Because I deserve it? For power? To prove my old man or ex-spouse, mother, teacher, coach wrong? To serve my vision of how life or mankind ought to be? For fun or beauty? Because I have no choice. Pressfield says, if you checked 8 or 9, you get to stay on the island. I know I said there's only one correct answer, but 8 and 9 are really one. How bad do you want it? Why do you want it? These are the questions you gotta ask yourself. And don't hesitate to take a minute to write that down before continuing the rest of the video. Number 8, don't quit. Don't ring the bell. If you're familiar with the Navy SEALs, maybe you've heard of guys like Jocko Willink, Admiral William McRaven, David Goggins, Chris Kyle from American Sniper. They were all Navy SEALs, and I've heard from stories of them about Navy SEAL training. The Navy SEALs go through a ton of training. One of them specifically is basic underwater demolition SEAL training. BUDS training, and they have this thing where if it gets too tough, if you can't go on any further, you can ring the bell and quit, and that's it. No more pain, no more suffering, no more brutal training. That's just it. But the symbol of the bell is big. You ring the bell, you give up. Yes, it's over, but you had to give up for it to be over. You didn't complete the mission. You didn't complete the task. You didn't complete the project. You know, starting is a huge step, but finishing is most important. Even in a sports sense, think if you're playing a tennis match. It's one thing if you're up 5-0, but it's another if you don't just have your foot on the gas and finish the match and you end up losing 7-5. Just having an idea truly is an action, and an idea is going to be less than a result. Don't ring the bell, don't quit, I believe in you, get after it. And speaking of fears, number 9, the penultimate lesson, and this one hits especially close to home for me, and it is fear of success. What makes Pressfield's books like Do the Work is that they're very easy to read, very engaging, short chapters, and most of all, great information. But they're also very, very relatable. To be completely honest with you, I've had a fear of success more than failure for a long time. I'm fortunate to live a great life with great family and friends. I have a great job, but I can't help but feel like there's something more that I have to do in my life. But I feel like if I were to get to that point, then my life would be a lot different. It'd be a lot of discomfort. I've worried before about the effect of potential success on my relationships and the sort of things that I do now. But I think that's the key word, the potential effect on my relationships. I'm not going to know unless I actually try. And if you're struggling with this yourself, know that you're not alone. Let me know in the comments below if you can relate to this fear of success or not. Maybe you have a fear of failure or there's some external thing holding you back. But know that we are all fighting resistance together. See our ideas into reality. Lesson number 10. Once you've done it, you are totally capable of doing it again. And so the cycle repeats. You've completed your project, which is a huge feat, and both Pressfield and I congratulate you on being able to just get it done, because so many people do not get it done. So what's next? Time to start the next one. Now, to truly get after whatever project you want to pursue and get it done, it's going to require an obscene amount of discipline. And I actually read the book Discipline Equals Freedom by Jocko Willink and took away my best lessons from that in the video right here. And you're gonna want to check that out if you want to be able to successfully do the work.